FC Dallas have had a heck of a start to their season. They're 5-1-1 through the first 7 games, 16 points out of the first 21. First place in the West, first place in the whole MLS. They are 6 points ahead of anybody in the West, 3 points ahead of anybody in the league, and they've been playing great soccer to start the season. I think the biggest talking points are obviously before the season started, they sell Breck Shea, they say goodbye to Kevin Hartman, and Daniel Hernandez, was let go from his player coach role and longtime captain of the team. So a lot of turnover and turmoil to start the season. I don't know how you felt about those changes.
I had my reservations about the season, but even as they started well, I still had reservations, and I just didn't quite buy in. But after win after win, it's been harder to doubt the team, and I think I'm kind of sold at this point.
Yeah, and the difference this year, I think, has been I think in the years past, the Hunt family, since Lamar Hunt's passing, I haven't felt has been that interested in FC Dallas. They got their other team in Columbus, the Columbus Crew, and they've got the Chiefs, and they've got all kinds of sports interests everywhere because their dad obviously was just a huge, kind of innovator of sport and supporter of sport in America. So they've got this huge sports interest, and I didn't feel like they cared that much about Frisco. A lot of things had been going down. They lost Pizza Hut as a stadium sponsor, and they never had a jersey sponsor for the longest time. And so I think you kind of have seen things turn around on the business side. They've got Advocare on the front of their jerseys now. They've got sponsors all over the stadium. The club sponsored, and so as you've seen those things happen, I think the Hunt family maybe aren't cheap. They're just frugal. And so as FC Dallas has started to make some money and fans have filled the stadium, now when they get Breck Shea money, they don't pocket it. They put it back into Kenny Cooper and Michelle, and I can't say that right, and into Eric Hassel, and they're just new guys coming into the club and guys who can play. And the biggest knock on FC Dallas since Kenny Cooper left the first time is they just don't have out-and-out strikers. Blas Perez came in last year with a lot of injuries and things like that. So, this year they went out and spent money on those. And I think the reason we haven't had strikers in the past is in soccer, all over the world, goals cost money. Yeah. So you either got to pay the team the guy's coming from money or you got to pay the guy money. And so I think their willingness to invest in the club has really changed things. The other thing that has kind of turned the thing around is, Kevin Hartman's replacement, Raul Fernandez, has been lights out. He's played 5 games. He's won 4 of them. He's making big saves. He's got the nickname Superman already from his teammates. Really young guy, a guy that the team can build around. If he doesn't play so well, he gets sold because it still is the MLS. But all right, other things from this early start. FC Dallas have had 7 players score. They haven't had any player score over 2 goals. They have several players with 2 goals, including George John, who's a defender, so it's kind of weird. But scored the big winner against LA.
So they're still scrapping together goals. They're not getting a consistent goal scorer from the forwards. Yeah, but
they've done a really good job. They've scored 11 goals in their 7 games. That's the most in the MLS. Then the second place team is 10, so they're not running away with the thing.
Yeah, we're really nitpicking here if we're looking for problems. But
for problems, they're giving up some goals, but they have the second highest goal differential at 4. They're tied for the highest goal differential at 4. They're just playing really, really well. And they look like they're in a great spot. They definitely look like if they can get Blas Perez and Kenny Cooper to get any kind of link-up play going and play off each other, similar to the way that Thierry Henry and Cooper played last year when Cooper scored 18 goals. if they can get that kind of form from one of their strikers, they'll be unstoppable this year.
Yeah.
Their midfield is bossing it with Michel and of course David Ferreira still playing at an MVP level. Coming back off that injury, he really hasn't missed a beat last season, and the start of this one.
Let's talk about Cooper a little bit. How do you think he's doing in his second stint with FC Dallas?
The goals aren't coming yet. Yeah. He's got a goal. But some encouraging things are happening. That LA game, he got a goal on a nice turn and a nice goal, nice finish. Everything was great, except for he was offsides.
Yeah.
On the negative side, his penalty kick attempt was not the best that I've seen from him.
No.
Just put it that way. He's usually pretty solid there, and that was a pretty easy save.
Does he seem a little bit tense to you? Maybe trying to do a little too much, maybe? Or
I think the first games they were playing him as a lone striker, and Shellis Hyman even talked about this a little bit in an interview that I saw. They were playing him as a lone striker, and that's not really what he is. He's kind of a support striker.
Yeah, he needs a guy with speed. They got to pair him with somebody who's.
And so that's what they, in order to play that 4-4-2 that he'll flourish in, that he's kind of a hybrid player. He's not an out-and-out striker. He's definitely not a midfielder, though. He's a guy that can hold the ball up, get it off to another guy, and also a guy that makes the right runs and creates channels and is an opportunistic finisher. So if you're in a 4-4-2 and he can play off another striker, the guy can be deadly in the MLS.
Yeah, imagine how well they're doing now, and if he gets on a tear, lights out.
Absolutely. So it's all just about finding that partnership with him and Perez. I think he did probably have a lot of expectations because the last time he was here, he scored 18 goals for us. Mm-hmm. Scored a goal from midfield.
Yeah.
It was
the first FC Dallas game I ever went to. I was like, this is awesome. And terrible at the same time.
Yeah, I remember. We took my sister-in-law to that game, and she was not impressed at all by that. And I was like,
"Are you serious?"
I've seen that one other time in my life. She thought it was just like, "Oh, that happens." No, but I think he's going to be fine. He's a really good player. It's just all about him and Perez figuring it out. I hope it's Perez. I hope it's not Eric Hassel, who's the other striker they brought in, who's been a good player and been a designated player in Toronto. But Perez is definitely the better option. And I think that Cooper is going to be the consistent guy. As talented as Perez is, and he scored 2 goals in 4 games, he's kind of on form. Mm-hmm. But as talented as he is, I think that Cooper and his versatility and all he brings to the team, the hold-up play, the whole thing, he's going to be the guy in there. So it's just whoever gets goals flowing with him. But I think if they're scoring at this rate and he's not scoring, if he's still doing what he's doing to create goals, I don't think that he's going to lose his spot in the team or anything.
No. Can they keep this pace up? Do you think they're going to finish the season on top of the West?
Yeah, I think I didn't really think so until I saw the Galaxy game.
Yeah.
This was an ugly game.
Yeah. And they've got to play the Champions League or the CONCACAF Champions League all season. FC Dallas, aside from a couple games here and there, they just got their MLS games.
Yeah, absolutely. So if they are, if it's in between them and the Galaxy, mm-hmm. they should have an advantage in like any kind of race for the Supporters' Shield or anything like that, mm-hmm. which is early to talk about that. We're 7 games into 36.
Yeah, this is all early.
But they're really, really, they're good. FC Dallas is good this year, and they're better than they've been since 2010 when they went to the championship, and they're better than that team was in the regular season. They look better right now. They've got a solid back 4 that are all young. They possibly have Ugo Himelu coming back to add some depth and competition back there.
There's some room for improvement on the back line, too. There's a little bit of communication issues.
Definitely late in games, set pieces, stuff like that.
Yeah, and even the most unstable part about hockey and soccer to me is when the defender has the ball and he has to make a quick decision. Yeah. And, usually I just kind of want you to spank it down the field and just get rid of it. But there's been a couple situations early this season where they haven't made the best decisions with it. So there is room for improvement, and I think
Yeah, and it cost them like a win versus a draw against Toronto FC 2 games ago. But I like in the LA game in particular, they kind of played an ugly game. They had a really poor decision go against them with George John taking down Villarreal in the box. It looked like a nothing call to me, to be honest.
I could see it either way, really.
Yeah, it's not a penalty to me. But they got the penalty. Fernandez makes a huge save on Donovan.
Yeah.
Landon Donovan doesn't miss penalties.
That was only his third penalty miss in however many. I don't have the stat, but it's a lot.
And it wasn't really a miss. It was a well-struck penalty.
Oh, yeah.
It's maybe a little too close to the keeper. Not anywhere near as soft as Cooper's attempt.
No.
And Fernandez just made a great save on it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way they're holding the ball in the midfield. Kind of like we said, it all comes down to, can you get consistent goals from your strikers? And then if you can keep getting goals from your attacking midfield players, your Fabian Castillos, your David Ferreiras, your Jackson. Jackson's been on a tear. That's that's maybe the thing that we've avoided here that we shouldn't have. The other biggest difference between FC Dallas previous years and now is Jackson isn't he shows up one game and wins you the game, and then 3 games he goes by. For these 7 games to start the season, he's been awesome. And if he plays this way all year, we won't miss Rexhay at all. There won't be any calls for David Ferreira to represent us as our MVP. Jackson could be the MVP of this league if he plays this way for 7 games. Although, saying that is that game against the Galaxy is probably his worst showing. He was losing the ball over the place. But that's a dude that, he's a match winner in the MLS. Maybe not on an international stage, but in the MLS, Jackson is a match winner. He can change games for you. And he's even got the most shots on goal for the team, and shots in general, I think, as a midfielder. So he's really being aggressive, really looking for opportunities to make things happen. And I think they've got a real chance to score a lot of goals if they can get a striker hot, but definitely if they can get that partnership going with Perez and Cooper. They could win an MLS Cup, or maybe, which should be more important to your true soccer fan, the Supporter Shield. I think they could definitely get that in the West. Now, Houston's a really good team, and have been a really good team for a long time, and are really talented.
Unbeatable at home, apparently.
Unbeatable at home, and LA, back-to-back champs. They don't have Beckham, but it's a set-piece guy, basically, at this point in his career, and Landon Donovan apparently likes soccer again, so, with Donovan and Keane, Juninho, they're going to be good. I did want to talk a little bit about the Galaxy game in particular, just kind of my favorite parts of that game. In the 7th minute, David Ferreira took the ball down the right side and kind of cut it back behind his heel with Juninho marking him, and Juninho broke his ankles worse than anybody I've ever seen. It was awesome. I literally thought he was going to be out of the game from this move from Ferreira, and it was great. Fernandez PK save was unreal. Of course, we're going to have the George John goal at the end. Yeah. The first header was almost an amazing goal on that play. It beats the keeper, goes off the bar, and you just think, oh, it's not their night. They're not going to get there. Perez is on the backside, but he's got a guy shield him off. He can't get there, and then all of a sudden, George John, who's looped all the way around the set piece,
lost his man,
is right there and finishes it on. He almost looked like he didn't know what he was gonna do when he got to the ball. I couldn't believe it was there for him.
I think his shot went off the top crossbar too.
Maybe just inside. Inside. Definitely wasn't the most composed finish, but it went in, and it was the winner's 88th minute. It was all that mattered, and then he
immediately
a much more accurate throw of a beer bottle than his shot.
That was unfortunate.
Just pegs him right in the head, and he's bleeding on the sideline. And I will say, if anybody from the Beer Guardians is listening, stop throwing beer bottles at FC Dallas players.
Yeah. To their credit, I think they did a good job of pointing him out to the authorities, and they got him.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool of George John. I heard on the radio saying, I didn't press any charges.
Yeah. Next time, buy me a beer instead.
Yeah, exactly. It's very cool, and it's I think that's great for the atmosphere they're trying to create out there. Yeah. They finally got a decent supporter section going in there, and you just had somebody lose their mind a little bit. I think a cool gesture to the fans by George John to say, I like that you guys are out here now, and please don't return to soccer mom days, and let's keep it going. But the other thing that I really, really loved after both PK penalty misses, Twitter exploding with Ball Don't Lie, because the Blas Perez takedown was pretty weak. Villarreal penalty was pretty weak, so
Ball
Twitter
don't
was
lie.
like, yeah, absolutely, Ball Don't Lie. Neither one of you guys deserved a penalty.
Well.
But great start to the season. I think they could really do something special there on the cusp, and I don't know, get out to Frisco, because if you want to see good sports here for a while, it may be the place to go.
Yeah.